there everyone, welcome to Micstand. I am joined once again by Jacqui Onions.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about a couple of films that we've seen recently. T2 Trainspotting.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with the Lego Batman movie, which we saw, 2 days ago now?
As a double bill, that's quite a day.
It was interesting, seeing both of them both at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were quite contrasting.
Yes, very contrasting.
It's fair to say that there was a bit of a difference between the two. So we're going to go into the Lego Batman movie, which was the first one that we saw that day. It's fair to say we were a bit excited about this one.
Yeah, this is one of my top most anticipated films of the year.
Yes, and it's only February.
And it's only February, so
That's
I was
impressive.
quite lucky that one came out. Well, no, there's a few that I know are coming out this year. And one of them Star Wars, and that's not till December.
Yeah.
So they're kind of spread out, but this is the first.
Yeah, it's a while away.
It is a while away.
It is too far away, in my opinion. But we got Guardians 2 coming up soon as well.
That's one of the others that
I mean, that's the big one, isn't it?
on my hotly anticipated list.
April 27th, I think. Something like that, anyway. A week before the US.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, Marvel films are always out here first. It's strange.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we're not talking about Marvel, we're talking about DC.
We are indeed.
And it was a Lego Batman movie. And your overall thoughts?
I loved it.
Good.
I'm going to go straight out and say that.
Okay.
I loved it. It did not, like I say, it was one of my most hotly anticipated films, and it did not disappoint at all.
What was your thinking going into it? Do you think it was going to live up to your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, the films that are kind of on my anticipated list are ones that I genuinely expect to be amazing. Like, Trainspotting wasn't on that list, even though I loved the first and I loved the idea that they were doing another one. I really wanted to see it. There was a bit of me that was saying, it's a sequel, is it going to be as good? So it wasn't on my list of, I'm so excited about these films, and Batman was.
So what was your favourite part of the film?
My favourite, that's really difficult to answer because it was relentless. It was funny all the way through. There were no kind of lulls in the plot. It was pacey all the way through. It didn't, although it's a children's film and children will love it, it didn't dumb down at any point. It didn't hammer home the plot or go through things slowly to make sure you got it. It had the pace of an adult film.
Yeah.
Actually, it had more pace than some other adult films. So it's one of those films that it's hard to pick out a moment, although there were certain bits that I found I haven't laughed suddenly and out loud like that at a film ever, I don't think. So there were certain lines that appealed to me, obviously, but you enjoy the whole film from start to finish.
You really do. I don't think I stopped grinning. Like, as soon as it even starts, you've got Batman narrating over the opening titles. Warner Bros. Shouldn't it be Warner Brothers? It's like, and then it just didn't let up at all until it ended. Must have been at least 3 jokes a minute. And I think one of the biggest things that I liked about it, I loved it too, it was great, was, oh, hello, that was noisy, the sheer amount of Batness. I mean, if you're a fan of Batman, this is it's probably the best Batman movie ever for sheer Batman-ness. From beginning to end, there was little things and you'd notice that I think only hardcore Batman fans would get, but there were also a ton more mainstream ones. But yeah, it's doing that. But I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get around this. Oh, look at that. See?
That's what I'm here for.
Clever.
Fixing your technical issues.
Clever. Were there any references that you didn't get, or anything that went over your head?
I wouldn't know, would I?
Yeah, I suppose.
If they'd gone over my head. I did really like the fact that they kept referring back to different kind of incarnations of Batman. And not just Batman references, but the taking the mick out of Suicide Squad. I've not seen the film because you said it was awful, so I didn't bother watching it.
It's wise.
but they really seem to have taken on board what the consensus even
That's a word.
consensus of opinion is on things like the majority of people hated Suicide Squad. You know, the opinions of different Batmans. I don't know what the plural of Batman is. Over the years, Batman. But they've kind of listened to what people think of these things and geared the humour towards that. Excuse me. Which was very funny.
Yeah.
And it happened throughout. Yeah. So I love the Bat, but there are probably lots of Batman references in there that I just didn't notice, the more subtle ones, and the DC references that I wouldn't necessarily be as clued up on.
There was a great bit right at the very start where the Joker is on the helicopter or the plane at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
And he's having a conversation with the pilot.
Yes.
About how he's going to take over the world. The pilot references all the times that he's failed in previous Batman movies, which was really funny. It was like, what about the time with the two boats? It was like, that was it, which is from The Dark Knight.
See, no, I didn't get the individual references, as in, I've seen all the films, so I knew what they were talking about. But I knew it was obvious that it was all the times that the Joker had failed, if you know what I mean. So you didn't, although it was funny because they were in the other films, you didn't need to have seen the other films to get that joke.
Yeah. That was interesting. It was so referential from the very beginning, especially all the Suicide Squad mentions. You know, there weren't many, but when they were there, they were burns more than anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't like subtle references. It was just,
yeah,
criminals against criminals. That's a really bad idea.
This is what I mean, that they've listened to the public hated Suicide Squad, so they've taken that on board and used it. And yeah, it made for some great comedy.
There was a very, very small bit that I noticed when Superman's on the TV having a conversation about General Zod taking him to the Phantom Zone.
Oh, yeah.
And the amateur footage of Superman doing that was provided by Zack Snyder, who was the director of that movie, Superman.
I didn't even notice that.
It's just little things like that made it just fascinating. So many little bits like that all over the place. And it hammered home a bit that Batman is a solo person.
But it kind of had to hammer that home because, okay, there are several kind of layers to this film. So if you are a DC Batman fan, there's a lot that you will get out of it. If you are a Lego fan, there is a lot that you will get out of it. Particularly if you play Lego Dimensions and that kind of thing, and if you love the first Lego movie. But you've got to remember that it is, as well, a kid's film. If you were a child, you will love it. And they kind of had to hammer home the Batman works alone. Because that was the point, that was the kids...
Is that your Batman impression?
No. I don't do Batman.
No.
No. I've just got a really, froggy throat at the moment.
See.
But they had to hammer that home because the message for the kids is about working as part of a team and how, you know, family doesn't mean conventional mum, dad, child. It's the people that care about you most.
Yeah.
So, it was a really lovely message as well. But that the kind of, as well as the Batman works alone thing, taking the mick out of the moodier, current Ben Affleck kind of Batman, it also was part of the message that the film was trying to put across for kids. So I think that's why it was hammered home rather than just kind of making the joke.
Yeah, there was a lot of it. I think there wasn't really any connection to the first Lego movie.
There wasn't, but other than it is Lego Batman, and Lego Batman is in the first.
It was very much a standalone.
It was, but it's that same kind of humour. I think if you enjoyed the first Lego movie, And it was that same kind of, because the Lego Movie is all about kind of, playing an imagination and mixing things up.
Yeah.
And this film does that as well. It's not just DC characters in it. It's not just Batman.
No, it is not.
So it's keeping that kind of childhood imagination thing that the first Lego Movie did so well, and that Lego Dimensions does as well. So I think if you're kind of into that whole world, particularly if you're a little bit of a geek, there's going to be
What are you looking at me for?
Because I'm talking to you.
Oh. What do you mean all the Lego that I have right in front of me right now?
Yeah.
There's a fair bit over there.
There is a lot of Lego in this room. But if you're into that kind of whole world, because Lego Dimensions does it so well, where you can just play as any character in any world and mix it all up. And this film does that as well. And so it's got that kind of Lego stamp on it.
It really does. I mean, there was the Phantom Zone where all the worst enemies are kept above Earth. And the sheer amount of different people they had in there was unbelievable. If I can remember as many as I possibly can. There was Godzilla.
Yeah.
King Kong.
Yeah.
Gremlins.
Yes.
Sauron from Lord of the Rings. The big eye.
Yes.
And of course the British robots. British robots.
I wasn't going to say that because it would spoil the gag for anybody who hasn't seen the film yet.
They're in the trailer, so I think it's out there. Yes, as a Doctor Who fan, I very much appreciated the British robots.
Yeah, that I did find that reference very funny.
It's nice that it's part of the Lego culture now. Especially with Doctor Who being in Lego Dimensions. They look a bit different in the game, but it's alright. Well,
yeah, but it was the way they referred to them as well. The fact that it was an American movie and the fact that they called them British robots did make me laugh quite hard.
Yeah, it was very, very clever.
So it's not just things for the DC fans to notice. If you're a Whovian, if you're all sorts of things. Another one that you forgot was Voldemort was in there.
Oh yeah, of course he was.
So there were references for Harry Potter fans as well.
Yeah, of course there was. How did I forget Voldy? Sorry, man. He's right there looking at me.
He is. He's sitting there looking at us. That's what reminded me that he was in there.
He was, yeah.
And I was trying to think of like those geek references because it wasn't all about being not just DC being a comic book fan. It was, pretty much any fandom you can think of. Got some kind of little nod to them if they had a bad guy.
Yeah, and it was a nice little connection because Voldemort obviously was played by Ralph Fiennes.
Yes.
Who played Alfred, the butler. So that was just a nice little thing I noticed.
But both so
lots of in-jokes.
Wonderfully done as well.
Yeah, Voldemort and the Daleks together. That's cool. I'm happy with that.
It was just a real, like you say, though. Didn't reference, it's not a sequel in any way, shape or form to the Lego Movie. It really does have that feel of you can throw all these things in together. The fact that all these characters from the Lego universe, all the bad guys ended up in the same place sort of thing from various...
Lego Dimensions.
Yeah.
The movie, essentially.
Well, kind of just reinforcing that thing that Lego Dimensions does, that the first Lego Movie does, that this is a big universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a Lego universe. I mean, Batman is still a master builder this.
He didn't do enough master building for my take. There's one little minor thing was the lack of Lego-ness in the whole thing. There was very little building going on, whereas there was a lot of it in the Lego Movie.
There was a lot of it in the Lego Movie, but this had to be... It had to be so many things. It had to be a DC film. It had to be a Lego film. It had to be a children's film. And I think it did them all well. It couldn't do... If it did too much of any one thing, then it would have failed somewhere else. And I think it got the balance. And actually not...
It's quite a lot of balls in here, actually, isn't it? When you
think
think about it.
just having that reminder that he is a master builder, and him, saying, "Right, everyone throw me bricks," and then building the vehicle with only one seat when there were like 5 of them in it.
Yeah, there was a Jerry Maguire reference.
There were a couple of Jerry Maguire
I don't understand where that came from. I know
I love that as well because I love that movie.
Yeah, it was a subtle subtext about how the whole world finds that scene like the most romantic thing ever, whereas Batman just laughs his ass off at it.
But there was also the thing about the fact that people think that Batman is going to be like uber popular and have loads of friends and big wild parties, and he actually spends his time on his own watching rom-coms, because there was a whole list of them, wasn't there, at one point? Robin going, "Oh, we have that on DVD."
Oh, I don't like lobster. That's not Batman can eat so much lobster. Anyway.
Yeah. I just think it looks fun in Lego.
Yeah, I suppose. The whole film looked fantastic. It was just a feast of colour and brightness, considering how dark and moody most DC films are. This one was the complete opposite, and it was very bright and loud pretty much all the way through.
Yeah, all the moodiness was done in Batman's character. It looked like a Lego film.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Lego Batman is my favourite version of Batman, to be honest, at the moment.
I love Lego Batman. He's just hilarious. He's such a caricature of every Batman ever. And it's done so brilliantly. And the character never lets up. It's not like it's a joke that was funny for a few minutes in whatever. It really stood up as a film.
Yeah.
The character held up all the way through.
I'm so glad he got his own film, because he really was a standout of the first of the Lego movie. He was... that film is phenomenal. You know how much I love it.
Yes.
I love it a lot. To death, in fact. And Lego Batman was the best bit of it, so I'm glad that it resonated enough with the creators that he finally actually got his own film. And he'll probably end up getting a sequel.
I would hope so. I think this could run as a series. There's so much scope, and it was so funny.
Yeah, it was great.
And every time a new DC film comes out, it's going to just give them more material.
Yeah.
It's not like the jokes are ever going to run out.
Yeah, I know. Because DC films take themselves way too seriously. That's what bogged down Suicide Squad, and that's what made it so poor. Was the fact that it didn't enjoy itself as much as it should have, with these really interesting characters, and how it was so bland and so dull, which is amazing considering the pedigree of characters that they decided to use. There was a great.
You're making yourself laugh.
This still makes me laugh when I think about it. It's very, very early on, but there's a scene with Killer Croc. I don't really want to ruin it because it's hysterical, but
we've gone into so many spoilers already. I think this just needs a big spoiler alert right at the beginning.
Yeah, you'll only get it if you've watched the Squad and realise how little Killer Croc actually does in Suicide Squad. When you watch it back and you're like, what? Why? This is one of the biggest things I have. When I went with my friend Ian, and even at like 2:00 in the morning, we were like, what the hell did half of them even do? Nothing. And there's just that one line where Killer Croc, there's a bomb which the Joker has at the very start of the movie, and he's going to blow up Gotham. And Killer Croc presses the button on the bomb for it to count down. And he went, "Yeah, I did something." And I just laughed so hard. And
again,
I didn't stop laughing all the way through.
I haven't seen Suicide Squad, so I didn't get that as a Suicide Squad reference. But just the way it was delivered was funny anyway.
Yeah.
That's why this film works on all levels.
I don't even know if it was a jab at Suicide Squad, but I'm assuming it probably was.
Yeah, that has to have been, now you've explained it. But it was just a funny little moment in itself.
Yeah. But it's just fantastic. I could watch a Lego Batman movie and all it's doing is taking the piss out of Suicide Squad from beginning to end.
I suspect if you watch it again, you'll probably see more things that you missed the first time.
Oh, I'll be watching it again. I'll be watching it again. There's very few films that I go out and buy on DVD or Blu-ray anymore. Once I had about 200 Blu-rays, I now have about 5 or 6. 6? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And I think that might have to join the Pantheon. Because I think of the extras and everything that would come with it.
We're out of room on the shelf.
I know, we're going to have to start a second Blu-ray shelf. I know, it would completely mess up with the continuity. But, yeah, it'll go in nicely between Lego Movie and Star Wars.
But that will have...
This is a genuine worry for you, isn't it? Look at your face, you're like, what? I don't think so.
Right now, I'm staring at... We've only got 2 DVD shelves built at the moment. We have got a third one, because there's a lot of DVDs in bags and boxes as well.
Makes it sound like we just moved in, but we moved in a year ago.
Yeah. We're not very good... The problem is we're not very good at building the DVD shelves.
No, we need a master builder like Batman to do it for us.
Because you built one upside down and I built one with the sides on the wrong way up. So, yeah. This is our DIY skills. But yeah, but if you move one of the... If you get a new Blu-ray, that means one of the Doctor Who Blu-rays goes on a different shelf to everything else.
Yeah, but there's still Doctor Who DVDs that it can join.
Yeah, but they're a set.
Since when have you been so bothered about organisation?
Who do you think alphabetised them?
Well, I'll leave it in your hands.
Have you not noticed?
So that is the one reason why we can't get the Lego Batman movie on Blu-ray. Is because it'll mess with the feng shui of the 2 DVD racks that we have.
I suppose... I'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, if you say so.
Don't like it when they're not alphabetical order.
Yeah, I know. I think there's a couple of misplaced ones there right now.
I don't think there are.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because they're split into... there's the Blu-rays first. Then there's Doctor Who DVDs because they go with the Doctor Who Blu-rays. Then there's our Simon Pegg collection.
Yeah.
Then there's our James Spader collection. And then it goes into everything else.
Yeah.
And they're alphabetised within sections as well.
Wow. That could be what's throwing me off. That it's only alphabetised in certain areas.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I think the... I can't remember how we arranged the... there is some kind of pattern to the Simon Pegg ones.
It's the Simon Pegg Edgar Wright films, and then the Simon Pegg standalone films, and then Edgar Wright standalone with Scott Pilgrim. Oh, Big Train is in there as well. That should be...
Big Train should be with Simon Pegg.
It should be. Sorry, don't worry about it right now. It's okay.
Okay.
You've already broken our TV. Let's not worry about that right now.
I haven't broken the TV.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yes.
But, yes. I think we should get that Blu-ray.
Okay.
As and when it's released. Probably won't be for a little while yet, but... Well, the film's not even out yet, so...
Yeah. I've got a long time to work out how to arrange our Blu-ray collection.
Yeah. You'll be fine. Don't you worry about it. So, overall, Lego Batman thoughts?
Loved it. Go see it. No matter whether you're a parent wanting a fun film to take your kids to, a Lego enthusiast, a DC enthusiast, just general geek, anybody with a sense of humour, go see this film.
Yes, if you like being happy, go and see the Lego Batman movie.
Yes.
I said to you when I came out that that's probably the most enjoyable film I've ever watched. Because from beginning to end, it's just complete joy.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, films can grab you emotionally and they can grab you kind of mentally. You know, I like films more than I like the Lego Batman movie, but I don't think I've enjoyed my time in a cinema more ever.
Very few films will make you smile like that one makes you smile. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are emotional moments as well. Mm-hmm. And you do actually, considering they're Lego, you do really feel for the characters.
Yeah.
There is that beautiful feeling of family and rejection, and it's all in there. But mostly you're just smiling.
You're just smiling and
you're
laughing.
You're happy.
It's such a happy time. I remember that back in the day. The Lego Batman movie was such a happy time. It feels like it's been ages since I've seen it, because I really, really want to see it again.
Well, we were looking for something to double bill with.
With Logan.
With Logan, that was...
Yeah. Man, Logan looks even more depressing than Trainspotting did.
Trainspotting wasn't actually that depressing, was it?
Logan's going to be awesome, though. That's going to be great.
It is.
Yeah. I think the Lego Batman movie needs a second viewing, purely for how many references and things it can probably throw in that we missed.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Good old Lego Batman. Oh, Robin.
Robin
Was awesome. Robin was really great.
Rip.
Hello, secret camera. I might have to get that on a t-shirt someday. I really, really loved Robin. He was great. I think he was my favourite part of the film, actually. Voiced by Michael Cera, who's of course Scott Pilgrim, Superbad dude. Perfectly cast as Robin. Do you like Robin?
I loved Robin. He's just adorable. He's the absolute contrast to Batman, being all dark and moody.
Yeah.
And he had no reason to be happy yet. He was the happiest boy in the world. And I loved that dynamic that he was an orphan and Batman was adopting him, and so there's like parent Batman as well as it wasn't just his sidekick sort of thing.
Yeah, I love how he came up with his name. Oh, Robin. You mean that just tiny red bird? There is a fair point as to why the hell his name was ever Robin. I think it was explained in one of the old Batman movies, but I can't remember what it is right now.
I'm not clued up on.
I think it might have been Batman Forever.
Which one's that?
Which was one of the terrible Val Kilmer Batman film.
Okay.
With Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Okay.
Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. Wasn't awful, but
you see, there's one of the ones somewhere around that era that I actually saw in the cinema, and it made that much of an impression on me. I can't remember which one it was.
Was it Batman and Robin?
I don't know.
George Clooney Batman.
I don't know. It might have been.
Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
I can't remember.
I still see you.
I genuinely don't know.
Hey everyone, chill out.
It was just one of these films. Me and my mum used to just go into Cardiff shopping during the school holidays and see a film, and we wouldn't, unless it was like something massive out that we really wanted to see, we wouldn't plan what we were going to watch. We'd just turn up at the cinema and say, right, we'll watch that one. And we ended up watching a Batman film. I don't know if my mum can remember which one it was, but I can't.
Yeah. Think of the timelines, because you would have been 9 or 10 when the Tim Burton one came out.
I was older than that.
It was Batman Returns.
Pretty sure I was older than that.
Probably Batman Forever then, Batman and Robin. That era, when
Yeah.
it got really campy
Yeah.
and really OTT.
Might have been Batman Forever.
I kind of enjoyed Batman Forever, because Jim Carrey was at his peak at that time, and it was his performance of the Riddler, Tommy Lee Jones being really crazy as Two-Face. It was a lot of fun, but then Batman and Robin was the worst thing ever.
Which one's that again?
Batman and Robin was George Clooney Batman. Poison Ivy, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
So George Clooney. I mean, I was quite a big George Clooney fan at the time that movie came
Who
out.
wasn't?
I was a big ER fan, obviously.
Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.
What's that?
It's the ER theme.
No, it's not. Okay, anyway. So George Clooney,
Totally is.
I remembered reading an interview with him at the time. And even he turned around and said that he'd killed Batman.
Yeah.
That was his amazing opinion of that film.
Yeah, he's never been a fan of the film. And rightly so. It was bad. It wasn't even, like, bad in a good way.
Okay.
Like Sharknado, it was just bad.
Sharknado.
Oh, man, you need to see The Fourth Awakens.
I think I need to see Sharknado 1 and 2 as well, because I've only seen 3.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But there isn't that much of a story strand moving through them all.
But I don't see the point in getting excited about 4.
But
When I have 1 and 2, I can be excited about 1 and 2 as well, because I haven't seen them either.
God. Fucking Sharknado. Oh dear.
Anyway, that wasn't part of our cinema double bill.
No. It's on Netflix though. We should watch that at some point. Right. So yeah, Lego Batman. Go see it.
Yes.
You have to,
Do it.
basically.
Go. Now.
It's going to be the biggest film of the year.
Go and queue outside the cinema all night.
Yeah. And you can listen to the next part of the podcast whilst you're queuing
Yes.
to see Lego Batman movie. And our second double bill film was was Trainspotting. T2 Trainspotting, I should say, which is still a title I can't really get my head around.
No.
Any ideas?
Trainspotting 2, isn't it? Any ideas?
What that title is? I don't know if it's referencing Terminator 2. Is that what's called T2? I don't know.
I think they're just trying to not sound like every other sequel and call it Trainspotting 2. But everyone's going to call it Trainspotting 2, so I don't see the point.
True. We need to soundproof this window.
Yeah.
Just turn every room into a studio. Whenever we feel like recording, we can just do it. So yeah, we saw do Trainspotting. Now this is a film that's been 20 years in the waiting, and you as a 15-year-old, when Trainspotting came out for the first time,
I loved it.
and me being a 10-year-old, I didn't really know much about it, but I saw it once I was old enough to understand it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the Trainspotting generation. Obviously, I wasn't old enough to see it in the cinema, but I saw it like the first time it was on TV.
Did you have the poster?
I had the Choose Life, Choose a Job, Choose a Fucking Big Television, that one.
Did you have the soundtrack?
I didn't have the soundtrack originally. I bought it a few years ago. So I do now have the soundtrack. But I loved Born Slippy is just one of my favourite things in the world. But I did have the... who was it? Somebody released a dance track that wasn't... It's not part of the soundtrack, but it sampled Ewan McGregor doing the Choose Life, Choose a Job. I had the I've still got it somewhere, the single of that.
Can you remember the whole speech?
No.
I was going to get you to while it off.
No.
Well, that's the end of the podcast. Thanks, everyone.
I probably could have at 15, 16 years old, but I couldn't do it now.
I like the new one.
I did like
There was
the
a
new
new one in Trainspotting 2. Bit more relevant to today's times.
Yeah, I really like that they kind of updated it and he went on a bit of a rant and it just all came out.
It's beautiful. So D&T Trainspotting, what do you think?
I was concerned when they first announced the sequel because sequels are never as good as the originals. And
Turned out to Godfather 2. Terminator 2. Toy Story 2.
Okay, sequel...
Free Willy 2.
Free Willy?
Free Willy's awesome.
Sequels are often disappointing, particularly when you've loved the original in the way that I loved Trainspotting. I still love Trainspotting. I don't think we have that because I'm talking about our DVD collection. I'm not sure we have Trainspotting.
You haven't got Trainspotting?
No, I had it on VHS.
Wow.
Because I'm old.
Well, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, there we go.
No, it's not on Netflix. It's on one of them.
It'll be somewhere. So, yeah, I was really excited that it was happening. And I thought it's really great that it is 20 years on. And that it's meant to be 20 years on. And that's that's where we're picking up the story. But, yeah, there were little alarm bells in my head. But actually, it was just like kind of seeing an old friend. And you just slip straight back into that world. And kind of catching up with them after 20 years. And yeah, I loved it.
Good, I did too. I really enjoyed it. It took a while for me to go, okay, this is a good film. I think there was so much kind of expectation on this film that, it was never going to live up to the first one, and I don't think it does. But
I don't think it needs to, though.
But there's still so much about it that is enjoyable. But there's so much about it that I think is so reliant on your knowledge of the first one. And it's going on its sake to appeal to the very same audience. It doesn't seem to be trying too hard to appeal to a new audience.
No, but I don't think that's a problem. Because the original has been out.
You don't think it's a problem?
I don't think it's a problem.
I don't think you should have to see one film to understand another.
Says the person who's not sure about me seeing Logan because I haven't seen the other.
Yeah, but it's part of a
Wolverine.
massive universe.
Well, this is the same people, the same lives 20 years on. Of course you need to know what happened to them.
There are no X-Men in Trainspotting.
No, but you need to know what happened to them in the first one. To know where their lives are 20 years on.
Mm.
That's kind of the point. You're revisiting their stories, revisiting their lives. And the first one has been out for 20 years. If you haven't seen it by now, it's not like you haven't had plenty of opportunity, is it? And chances are, if you haven't seen it, the adverts for this one probably wouldn't have appealed to you anyway. And if they did, then you're going to want to check out the first one before you see it. In the same way you want me to watch other X-Men films before I see Logan.
Yeah, I might avoid that. I don't think they're not very good.
See, at least
See,
if you're intrigued by Trainspotting, if you watch the first one, it is a damn good film.
Mm.
I don't see. I mean, you can't pick up Lord of the Rings in Part 3 without having seen 1 and 2, can you?
I think Lord of the Rings is it's a third part of a single story. Trainspotting 2 is a second story with the same characters.
But it's still following their lives. So to follow the life, you have to have seen the initial introduction to their lives, don't you?
Not much has changed for any of them, really. None of them really sort of grew up and moved on. We thought that oh bloody hell, Mark.
Yeah.
Ian McGregor's character.
Renton did, but he
had moved on, but it
all went, yeah.
It turns out he hadn't so much in the end.
Well, he had, but it all went pear-shaped and he was coming back.
Mm. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed it. As a standalone film, it was great. Really great. The performances with Robert Carlyle, again, was just amazing. Bloody frightening.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting seeing him interviewed on Graham Norton and saying the fact that he actually took himself away from his family while he was doing that, so he didn't have to slip. He could stay in kind of Begbie's world, and he didn't want to inflict that on his kids, and so, which is fair enough because he is terrifying.
Yeah.
And it must be quite emotionally draining to encompass that.
Begbie's not a nice guy.
He's not.
No, he's a very bad man. And he hasn't changed. He's probably worse now than he was. Because he's out for revenge.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really expect his character to change very much because he's been in prison for the last 20 years.
Yes. Yeah, he wasn't happy. Wasn't a happy man. I thought it was clever how he escaped prison. I thought it was quite cool. It was a nice... just, right, stab, not too deep. Not too deep. And just went all the way through. That was great. There was some...
This is so typically Trainspotting as well.
Mm.
The best laid plans just go a bit wrong.
It was great. I think actually all the performances was great. I can't imagine watching... They may have had to watch Trainspotting again a few times to get back into those characters. I think 20 years apart.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor was worried he wasn't Scottish enough anymore, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's a Jedi now. That's the problem. Yeah. He's been a Jedi for a while, I suppose. I thought Ewan Bremner was brilliant again.
Yes.
His performance is great. His character is... You just want to give him a hug, don't you?
Yeah, I adore him. And it always amazes me how different he seems to physically become the character. He looks different.
Yeah. Yeah.
His eyes become like 6 times bigger.
I don't know how he does that. Don't know how he does that. That scene when Franco visits him at his house, and throughout the whole time, you obviously can't see what I'm doing, but he's like the whole time. His eyes are wide, and
it's,
he's
it's just a typical Spud facial expression. If you've seen the first one, you know that kind of. It's just a beautiful innocence about Spud, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, he just wants everyone to get along, doesn't he?
Yeah, and
He wants to.
that's one of the things I really loved about this. And again, massive spoilers, but the fact that it kind of works out for him in a Spud kind of way.
Yeah, yeah, he was happy at least,
Yeah,
even if he isn't really happy. You know, it was a selfless act, I think, is what
but
he did.
But it's what made him happy
Mm.
because the other option, he's been there, he's done that, and it didn't work out for him. He knew that was the wrong thing for him.
Johnny Lee Miller was good again.
I mean, you can't fault any of the main cast, can you? They are just a beautiful combination together.
Johnny Lee Miller's accent just dropped out in and out. Just thought it was quite funny. I mean, I suppose it's been a long time since he's had to play a Scottish person. But,
Yeah, it didn't bother me though.
You watch him in any other film and he's so English. He sounds like Prince William, you know. And it's like when he's in Trainspotting, his English, his posh English is there. You can just hear it just a little bit, and it was quite funny actually. I thought, for me anyway, I enjoyed it. It was a good moment.
Yeah. One thing that we have One thing that we have talked about prior to doing this cast was the use of flashbacks in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Took up at least 45 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying about how you think that needing to see the first film to get the second one is a bad thing. I don't think that is. But although to start with, I really enjoyed the nostalgia of the flashbacks and taking you back to the first film, and particularly the way, I think it's the first one, might be the second, I'm not sure, is done, where you've got Spud in the street and he's kind of remembering them running down the street, and you see the young Renton like whizzing past him with the footage from the original film. And I thought that was really nicely done. That it was kind of a memory of him standing there and remembering that happening.
Yeah, yeah. I like that.
But then it did get a little bit. I mean, I got the references, the things that they talked about, needed to be there because they were part of. I mean, you do, if you've known somebody for 20 years, you do talk about things that happened in the past, and things do get dredged back up, and that all made sense. But there were a few too many flashes back to the original footage for the sake of it looking pretty, I think.
Definitely was. I mean, the whole film was shot beautifully. Again,
Yes.
but Danny Boyle's a master. You know, he should be up there now in the pantheon of great directors.
But that's why part of the reason that this film, although it's great, is never going to be as good as the original, was because all of that stuff in the first one was really groundbreaking. I mean, a lot of the footage is really shocking and harrowing because of the way it's filmed, because of the effects that are used. But they've been done now.
Yeah.
And the sequel had to be filmed in the same way to make it feel like Trainspotting, and it is, and it's still beautiful and it's still harrowing in places, but it's not going to have that same shock factor as like the initial in the original film where Mark is going cold turkey and he's hallucinating and the baby's on the ceiling and all that.
That's dark.
It's but it was very groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah.
To see that kind of thing and for it to be this hallucination to be so real. And for the walls to be stretching and things like that, that they were never going to have quite the same impact this time round because it's been done.
Sure, I think that's why Danny Boyle almost sort of took it to another level again. That one scene when they're in the car talking about George Best, and the projection of George Best appears on the car.
Yes.
I was like, that's amazing.
That was amazing.
It's classic Danny Boyle.
Yes.
Like, if you think about where the location of the camera is, it's it's not on the side, it's not in front of it. It's just kind of like on the corner of the car, sort of looking up at it, like in like the bottom left of the. I don't even know how to explain it where it was, but it was. I've never seen anything like that, and it was beautiful. The lighting of that scene was amazing as well.
But I think you hit the nail on the head there, that you described it as classic Danny Boyle.
Mm.
Whereas at the time that the first film came out, it was, oh my god, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it gives you a different reaction. You kind of expect the unexpected from him now.
But you've seen it since. You've seen it in like Sunshine and 127 Hours, really gritty camera work. Slumdog Millionaire,
Yes.
especially in certain scenes, like the slum scenes. You know, it's very dark, but the light is just focused on character, and it's something that only Danny Boyle can pull off. A lot of directors try it, but only he can do it really, really well. Can we talk about that cubicle scene?
Yeah.
Because I think that was the highlight of the whole damn thing.
That was wonderful. I'll let you wax lyrical about that.
Oh man. Mark Renton is in a cubicle in a men's bathroom, and Franco is in the next one, unbeknownst to each other that they're in the same room, and Franco's kind of after Renton after the ending of Trainspotting and their exploits.
And Renton at this point isn't even aware that he's escaped from prison.
Yes. And they have a discussion between the cubicle wall, again, unbeknownst to each other that they're talking to each other. And then the camera sort of pulls back, and we see Renton and we see Franco in the scene next to each other. And probably one of the most wonderful things I may have ever seen in British cinema is they're just sat there, and then it takes about 45 seconds, but in that whole time, the sudden moment of realization, how it slowly evolved between the two of them, it was just and wonderful.
Just the different reactions and the changes in body language, and it's just so, I mean, they don't say a word, but it's so beautifully acted.
It's just wonderful because obviously they're so confined, but the sheer amount that they did by doing very little,
yes,
it's just unbelievable.
You know exactly what's going through both of their minds, and you feel you're laughing because it's just playing out wonderfully in front of you, but at the same time you're feeling in your gut that fear for Mark, because there is no escape, and you know there's no escape for him, and just that, what it makes you feel in just a short space of time with no dialogue is quite incredible, really.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I keep playing it in my head. I'm doing it right now. Yeah. It's just beautifully shot. And it's so dark as well. It's almost like there's neon purple that kind of lights the whole thing. Oh man, it's so good. It's so good.
It's timed so beautifully as well with each other.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like the same realization comes across their mind at exactly the same time, and their reactions unfold at the same time with each other. It's just, it's just beautifully done.
It's a work of art. If I could have that scene on a wall, just replaying over and over again, I think I would. It was tremendous, and it's just great. It's great. Anything you didn't love as much?
Only really the flashbacks got a little bit too much. I mean, that's a really, really minor thing as well, because I guess the whole thing was just taking you right back into that world, into those characters, and you were in that world for the whole time. And it was just like revisiting somebody I'd known as a teenager, sort of thing.
Yeah, the use of women in this film was a bit odd. I think there's only 3 that I can remember, and one of them is a prostitute. The other one doesn't talk very much. And the only other one is the lawyer, which was the girl from the first one. I can't remember the name of.
No, I can't off the top of my head now.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I think everyone will
Yeah.
know who you mean.
It was like, oh, it's her. Oh, she's gone.
Yeah, I mean that was just a nice little reference. I don't think it was an intentional kind of slight on women or leaving them out, because I mean the first one was about the men and their friendships, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
There were women around them, but it was mostly about them.
Yeah.
And it was those characters that we were revisiting, those four. So it just made sense for it to be focused on them. And let's face it, none of them are the kind of people that you would really expect to hold down a relationship.
That's true.
So not a healthy one in any case.
Yeah. There was Franco's wife, girlfriend as well.
Wife, yeah. But she doesn't say much, and you'd expect her not to say much because she'd be terrified of Franco.
Yeah. Yeah. Although Franco did almost grow a conscience by the end of the film.
It wasn't so much growing a conscience. I mean, he was still Franco. He was still pure evil.
Mm.
But it was nice that he could kind of reconcile things with his family. Or at least agree to disagree.
Yeah.
On the directions that life should go in.
Yeah, it was great. I need to see it again. I want to see more of it. I want to see T3.
Well, that's a good sign.
In another 20 years. And then I can watch T2 again whilst watching T3. That seems to be the role that they're playing here.
Oh, see, now you get into, like, Back to the Future 2, where there's two of them running around.
Mm.
You'd have flashbacks with flashbacks, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm not sure if Franco can escape again. We'll see.
I can't imagine that realistically Spud would live for another 20 years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, any of them really. There's a great scene in the social club with the Catholic song. It's the 2 chord Kill the Catholic song.
That's the kind of thing that although I watched the first one, I haven't seen it for a while. I haven't seen it for a good few years actually.
You don't need to. You saw it in Trainspotting too.
But no, what you remember about the first one, what sticks with you is the harrowing stuff, the really hard hitting, emotional stuff. But you forget the bonkers situations that they get themselves into, like that, where they end up on stage making up a song, and the real humour and the funny side of it as well, which is kind of a look at real life, and you do end up doing.
It was shot really nicely as well.
Some strange things.
Yeah. It looks like they put a GoPro on top of the microphone, and Ian McGregor just swung it back and forth. It was it was really nicely shot, that one. It was weird. I don't want to go to a Protestant social club. They look quite scary.
It did indeed.
I think I gotta avoid that.
I think that whole situation as well really pointed, and you get kind of hints at this throughout both movies, how intelligent, it might be completely misplaced and misused, but how intelligent Renton really is to come up with a scheme like that one. And yeah, some of the other situations throughout both movies, you know, how different his life could have been had it not gone down the road that it did.
Can we talk about the ending of Trainspotting? Because it predates, it is the catalyst of the whole film.
Sure.
Do you think Renton was right to do what he did at the end of Trainspotting? This is an audio podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking. I wasn't expecting you to spring such a deep question on me. I'd never watched it and kind of felt sorry for any of the characters that he ripped off at all. He looks out for himself because he knows that's what any of them would do. He accepts Spud and he sees Spud right. It's interesting to revisit kind of 20 years later and realise actually that's probably the worst thing he could have done for Spud, because you finish the first film thinking, you know, that's really lovely that he's given him his share, even if he's ripped off the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
But by just giving it to him and leaving, and not actually supporting Spud in using that money for good things, he's probably made his life worse, not better.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never... I mean, do you feel sorry for any of the other guys that he rips off?
It's hard to root for any of them sometimes.
Exactly.
They're not... No... I mean, Renton's probably the only one that has some kind of moral code in a weird Trainspotting kind of way. But all four of them deserve what they get. Really. There's no characters you can root for between the four of them.
Spud.
I don't think except for Spud. Bless him. But they all do bad things.
Yes.
And it's evident in T2 that they haven't really learned anything in 20 years. Well, I think, which is, I guess, is the point of the whole film. You know, there's still that madness between them all. There's still that kind of energy that nothing's really worked out for any of them.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see as well how, you know, Mark does at the end of the last film and in the gap between kind of turn his life around. And okay, his marriage hasn't worked out, but that happens to a lot of people that don't have Mark's background.
Mm.
And he has got himself, maybe not like massively highly qualified, but he has gone out and got qualifications and got a job. And okay, so it's not going that well for him, but had he just come home and not seen any of his old friends, he probably would have got a job in this country, started again, you know, spent some more time with his dad. But how easily it is to be kind of pulled back into that life by being around the wrong people.
Mm.
That he'd got out, he'd spent 20 years away from it all, and just seeing one or two people, he sucked right back into it. I clearly lay less blame on Mark than you do.
Well, I don't know. I never really liked the ending to Trainspotting because I was rooting for all of them. But I was only like 14 when I saw it, so I was like, yeah, they should all get there. They're all winners. I can't remember. I don't remember seeing it as an adult recently. It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've seen it. Even though it's been on TV a million times, I've always missed it.
Thing is, I mean, Begbie needs to be in jail. There's no question about
Yeah,
that.
that's true. Yeah, Begbie's a bad man.
Spud gets his money anyway.
Yeah.
So...
I don't know, it's difficult, isn't it?
I think it's because the first film more so actually than this one.
It's like loving villains. It's like loving Darth Vader and loving Kylo Ren and loving Loki, you know.
The first one, though, is very much from Renton's point of view.
Mm.
This one less so. But you're kind of programmed to root for Renton, I think. Maybe it's just because I'm a Ewan McGregor fan, I don't know. But there's something that kind of tells it from, because it's told from his side and it's very much his voice that's narrating it.
Yeah.
You can see that, you know, he is intelligent. He has got the capacity to get out into the real world and get away from this all and actually make something of his life, whereas probably more so than any of the others. And that's kind of why you think, well, actually, if he's got the money, he's going to do something sensible with it. He's actually going to turn his life around, and he did for 20 years. And he says to, when he's trying to help Spud, kind of channel his addiction, to, accept that he's an addict, and just to be addicted to something else.
Yeah.
He actually says, well, Spud asks him, well, what did you do? What was your addiction? He said, getting away. He channeled it all into getting away from that life and making a different life for himself.
Yeah. It's a great scene when Renton and Spud actually meet up again. And Mark can see him through the door.
It's a typically disgusting...
It's a very, very Trainspotting scene.
Trainspotting scene.
Completely gross, but ultimately rewarding in its own kind of way. In its way. Yeah, maybe Renton's an angel as well, because Bub would have died otherwise. Like Charlie in Casualty.
Ross has a theory that Charlie in Casualty isn't real.
He's not real.
He's just an angel, and he appears just an angel. You know what I mean? Because he always appears if somebody needs help.
Yeah.
Lurking in the background.
He's in every scene
It's Charlie.
when someone needs help.
So yeah, Casualty will eventually end, and Charlie will just disappear in a puff of light up to heaven.
Yep.
Like, what's it called? Stairway to Heaven? Or what that awful American program was?
Any angel movie. Or TV show.
Touched by an Angel.
Yeah.
God.
City of Angels. Oh, what was that? What was that John Travolta angel film?
I know the one you mean. I can't think of what it's called.
Oh, what was it called? It's the one with Iris as its soundtrack.
Ask Google.
I will. I don't know why this is important, but I have to know now.
Ask Google.
No.
Physically ask. Go say, okay, Google.
John Travolta, Angel. Michael. Was it Michael?
Michael.
Michael. Yes, it was.
Yes, that's it.
The film stars John Travolta as Archangel Michael was sent to Earth to do various tasks, including mending some wounded hearts.
It's the same plot as Touched by an Angel and Stairway to Heaven and every other awful thing about angels.
4.5 out of 5 on Amazon, 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. Seems to be doing better with the fans rather than... Oh, that's like the most 90s poster.
Yes, it is.
Andy McDowell, Bob Hoskins. Yeah, that's very 90s. Brilliant. Love it. So then, you were happy with T2 Trainspotting?
I was, yes.
Were you delighted with it?
Yes. Any fears I had that it wasn't going to be a good sequel have completely gone. I really enjoyed it, and I would happily watch it again and again in the same way I watched the first one. In fact, I quite like to watch them back to back now.
So we're gonna have to make some more Blu-ray space for T2,
See,
for Trainspotting, and for the Lego Batman.
I'm still not sold on the whole Blu-ray thing. But that's a whole other discussion.
Well, what would you prefer?
I don't really see the difference between having a Blu-ray and having a DVD.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't know, would you? I can tell the difference.
I know you can tell the difference, but you'll still happily sit and watch DVDs. So
I will, but if I have the option, I'd rather watch it in a higher definition. What's the point of having a Blu-ray player and a super sexy TV?
yeah. Anyway, we'll buy a recording of it at some point.
And also,
on some kind of format.
Also, they don't put extras on DVDs anymore. They all go on Blu-rays. And I like extras.
You do like the extras, I'll give you that.
I
always like the idea of them and never watch them.
I like blooper reels and commentaries.
I know.
There's a great... well, I don't know. I know. I think someone must have had Trainspotting on DVD. I don't know who it was. But yeah, the DVD commentary was Danny Boyle, Robert Carlyle, Ian McGregor, John Lee Miller. Probably quite fascinating to listen to, I'd imagine. I haven't done so yet. But you could probably get Trainspotting quite cheap in CEX if you looked hard enough.
I probably could. It would probably be a good idea to go through that bag and box of DVDs that are over there just to make sure I haven't already done that and picked it up, because I do tend to pick up things like that as I see them cheaply on DVD, which is why we have so many DVDs.
I like having animated stuff on Blu-ray because animated stuff pops out and looks amazing in that format, like the Pixar stuff.
Okay.
And something like the Lego Batman movie is going to look amazing.
We have the Lego movie on Blu-ray.
We certainly do, because it looks incredible in Blu-rays.
We don't have a massive amount of animated stuff.
No, we need more. There's a lot of it on Netflix, so I kind of refrained from buying it. A lot of Pixar stuff on Netflix that looks great. So, okay.
Disney and Pixar's always so expensive to buy as well.
Yeah, that's true. They do the odd buy and get on free deals every now and then.
Yeah.
Which are very awesome. Well, we can drop it there if you like. We can drop it like it's hot.
Okay, I would say go and watch both films.
Yes, take different people, I think.
Bit weird to see them both in the same day. But
Don't take your kids to see Trainspotting 2.
No.
No.
No. Definitely not.
I'm actually amazed.
I'm also not condoning 15-year-olds watching Trainspotting 1. Just because I was 15 when it came out. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that.
I'm actually amazed Lego Batman got you. Because there was a lot of very, very subtle things in there. That
there was nothing.
Were
subtle is the word, though. There was nothing that was kind of that a young kid would pick up on and repeat that you don't want them to say, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or anything that would make them ask awkward questions.
Yeah. Well, it's the Shrek level, the Shrek laws. Because Shrek is full of innuendo and adult-only jokes.
Yeah, but
and that's a you.
They're subtle enough for kids not to notice them. It's when they actually pick up on them. I mean,
do you think maybe he's compensating for something? Well, it's like, ah! Now I'm an adult. I've got that joke finally.
What? You're an adult?
Apparently, some people tell me.
Nah.
It's a frightening thought, I know. But there we go.
Putting that one off.
Okay. Well, Jacqui, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been fun.
On this Micstand special episode is not numbered. It's just a recap on films that we've seen.
Yeah.
I think next up is we want to see Split.
Yes.
Do you want to see that?
Do want to see Split.
Avoiding spoilers like a mofo right now because they're all over the place.
I've done quite well at just avoiding that film.
Yeah, so much so that we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
that's how well you're avoiding it.
That's not me avoiding it. We were going to see Split and Trainspotting 2 in the same day. Now that would have been one hell of a double bill. But then we found out that they were showing Batman early, and somebody wanted to see Batman a lot more than they wanted to see Split.
Damn right.
And I didn't take much convincing. So
no, but
so
yeah.
Split got relegated.
Split and Logan, obviously, it's out in March. Should be amazing.
Split's going to be finished in the cinema, though, before Logan comes out. So.
Yeah, we haven't got long, I think, with Split anymore. There's only 2 showings in our local review a day now, so...
Going to go and end up watching it in the Park and Day Yorkie, aren't we?
Oh, no. No, we're going to watch it at The View at some point.
Okay.
And then Logan, and then... I don't know what's coming out. What else is coming out in March? But April, it's Guardians.
Yay!
And so, yeah, it's all that to come. And I'm sure we'll sit here and add some more episodes to Micstand after we see these films as well. So, thank you very much for listening. Give us a like on YouTube if you're listening to us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on iTunes, give us a rating and a review. The algorithm on iTunes is all about rates and reviews, and every little helps. So that would be very, very nice of you. Thank you very much indeed. And if you're listening on Mixcloud, then hi. Give us a follow. You can follow us on Twitter at MicStandFilm, and you can follow Jacqui at Jacqui_Onions. JACQUI_Onions. Onions like the vegetable.
Yes, and that really is my name.
It's it's funny, isn't it?
That's not a Twitter handle, that's my name.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
thank you very much, everyone. Until next time.